Welcome to CivilNet. My guest via Skype from Istanbul is Andrew Finkel of P24 independent media platform. Andrew, thank you for joining us.
Pleasure.
As always, we're going to try to understand what's been taking place in Turkey and the region. I want to start off on one of our current themes, which is the media situation in Turkey. There have been some events that took place of reporters being charged for tweets they made that were critical of the state news agency Anadolu. There was another issue with a newspaper delivery person, distributor, being attacked and then later dying for distributing Kurdish newspapers. Earlier in the month, the European Commission 2014 progress report on Turkey once again was critical of the media situation. Is this just an ongoing situation, or have you seen a rise in these incidents?
Well, I think you can say the situation is not good. I think there's an ongoing deterioration of press freedoms. I think the government is determined to control electronic media and social media. I think it's had a fair amount of success in controlling, shall we say, legacy media, the established newspaper titles and television stations. But I think it feels challenged by the rogue tweets and electronic pages that go out that it can't really get its hands on. So I think there's an increasing attempt to do that and some intimidation there. We've seen new legislation being passed, and we've seen the police acting in advance of the legislation actually being enacted as law and temporarily detaining a journalist on suspicion of having committed a crime rather than actual proof. And there seems to be legislation in the pipeline which will allow these powers of confiscation if you're convicted of using media to plot sedition, and the government will be able to seize your assets. So there's very good news here.
Right. We had spoken earlier, about a month and a half ago, after the IS had attacked the Turkish consulate in Mosul, and how the Turkish media really wasn't covering it in a way that was substantive or to give enough information to the public. Now taking a look at what's been taking place in Kobani, with Turkey not allowing initially Kurdish fighters to cross the border into Syria to help the Kurdish fighters in Kobani fight off the IS, and then there was a shift in policy, which some are calling contradictory, and then them allowing Kurdish Peshmerga from northern Iraq to go and fight in Kobani. How, in light of the media environment, in light of the government or Erdogan trying to suppress information getting to the public, how has the Kobani events been relayed in the media in Turkey?
Well, as you know, the Turkish media itself is very polarized. One section of the media is the government can do no harm, another section it can do no good. So we're not actually getting balanced coverage of this event. There are contradictions, and people have spotted the fact that the government, tried to brand what the Kurdish PYD, trying to save Kobani as no better than ISIS, as sort of
right.
One terrorist group fighting the other, and then the next moment, really very much under U.S. pressure, it's being it says, well, in fact, we will allow Peshmerga to come from Iraq to help relieve the siege of Kobani, although we will not allow Turkish Kurds, PKK, to come to the aid. At the same time, the government's saying that, well, we're making great progress in solving our own Kurdish problem. So there's obviously a lot of holes in government policy contradictions. To be fair to the Turkish government, they're not handling these contradictions any worse than any other government in the world. It's hard to find a state that has a really consistent policy towards Syria or one that makes good sense. But certainly the Turks, are not having an easy time with this. There's so many contradictory aims and events seem to be conspiring against them. the government media is papering over the cracks, and you know, the opposition media is trying to expose them. The truth of the matter, I mean, the curious thing is that we see a great deal of, you know, oppression. And there are still large selling newspapers in Turkey, Zaman, Sözcü, Zaman being a Yunanis newspaper, Sözcü being a sort of nationalist left newspaper. These are you know, among the best-selling newspapers in the country, and they are opposed to government. So it's not as if the opposition voices are getting out there, it's just that the government continues really to build up almost a firewall around its own base, and that base isn't getting that dissenting opinion.
Oh, Andrew, just as a final question, we've been speaking to many analysts and experts in the region about the whole Kurdish issue. There have been some sentiments being expressed that Turkey is using this whole situation taking place in Kobani to further create more divisions among the Kurdish population, that allowing the Kurdish Peshmerga from northern Iraq to cross its territory. There are conflicting divisions or parties within the Kurdish population, PKK, Hudabar, the Hezbollah. How has that been played out in the media? What is the conversation taking place about the Kurdish issue today in Turkey?
Well, I think I'm not sure the government is quite as ingenious as you suggest. I mean, there is a theory, and not a trivial theory on it, that the government, and this is a president that was prime minister, didn't flinch from confrontation. You know, he's not flinching now. He thinks that the more aggressive and the more outspoken he is, the more he's respected by his own base, and he has every reason to believe that's the case. So he's not hesitant to ramping up the tension over Kobani, over the Kurdish issue. I think is genuinely concerned, and the government is genuinely concerned that for the Kurds on the Syrian side of the border to succeed in establishing some sort of autonomous realm, that this will weaken the Turkish negotiating side, their own Kurds with the PKK. So the government is pursuing a fairly, from their point of view, pragmatic or Machiavellian line. Where that
will lead, no.
Who knows? And it's obviously getting them into some difficulties. But I think the government is sincere on one level in wanting really to reach some resolution, certainly with the PKK and with Abdullah Öcalan, its leader. But it's very nervous about making concessions which will be perceived by a Turkish public which has been fed on anti-Kurdish nationalist, pro-Turkish nationalist rhetoric for decades. It's very hard to suddenly change direction and take public opinion with you. So they have to work that out.
Certainly do. Thank you so much, Andrew Finkel, for telling us what's been going on in Turkey, and we'll be talking with you again soon.
Okay.
I'd like to remind our viewers that my guest was Andrew Finkel of P24 independent media platform via Skype from Istanbul. Stay with CivilNet.